right, I want to welcome you to this conversation. We're talking today about leading the system and not just the team. One of the most frustrating things about leadership is people. Can I get an amen, right? But one of the things that the problem's not always the people. A lot of time it's the systems. Now, we all use systems, whether you realize it or not. I grew up in a household where my dad is a leader. He is in charge. He is large and in charge when he steps in a room, and he has a system for everything. And he's kind of frustrating to work with sometimes. He'll tell you how to do it, and your way is not the right way. Y'all, come on, some of you, y'all got to get with me. Y'all know don't look at them, but y'all know people like that, right? Where it's like their way is the only way. He had a system for, and some of you use military, and they tell me in the military, you got the right way, the wrong way, and the military way, and you better do it the military way, whatever that is, right? He's kind of like that. You had the right way, the wrong way, and the Don way. Everything. He had a system on how you grill. To this day, I am 50, none of your business. But if we're doing something, he's going to come correct me on how I'm grilling. If he's got a system on how to mow grass. And he will stop you and correct you because he's got the most efficient way. And the truth is, a lot of his ways, I don't think they're as clean now as they used to be, but they were very efficient. They were very effective. They were good systems. But what I learned from him was how to evaluate every system. And so we'd go into a church, and after we'd leave a church, he would debrief it. We'd go into a business. After we'd leave a business, he'd debrief it. And it kind of stuck with me. And I've learned that systems shape everything we do. We all have a system. You have a system right now. I guarantee you, most of you have a system when you get up in the morning and how you organize your mornings and what you do. You put your socks on in the right system, right? You got the way you do your dishes, the way you sort your laundry, the way your whole laundry system is, where your family, if you've got family, you have a system for everything that you do. Systems are a part of everything you do. In fact, fun fact, in case you didn't know this about yourself, you are a system. That's all you are, is a collection of systems. You have a cardiovascular system. You have a pulmonary system. You have a digestive system. You have all these systems that are at work in you right now, even as we're talking, and those systems function together, and when they break down, then we have to go to some medical help and get somebody to assist us. But you are a collection of all those systems that make you, you. Fun fact for those that are believe in creation, that God created the whole world. God created the world with systems. If you like, I'm a Christian and I believe the Bible, and the first 6 days, he created a system in the way he organized and created the world. But here's what everybody can agree, even if you don't believe in creation science, the world runs off of systems. The way he sustains the way is seasons and sunlight and rain and the systems. And we interdependent, and we connect, and one animal feeds another animal who is also food to another animal. And this is the way the system of the whole world works. So what is a system? A system is a collection of interdependent parts that are brought together to accomplish a goal. So you should have a fill-in-the-blank outline somewhere. You can fill that in. It is a system of a collection of interdependent parts brought together to accomplish a goal. So let's kind of take that apart. It is a collection. We see systems as a whole, but every system has pieces to it. We're not just digestive systems. Somebody say praise God, right? If that's all you were is digestive system, that would be a problem. That would be redundant and very uncomfortable if that's all you did, right? Thank God you have cardiovascular, you have pulmonary, you have other systems at work. And you are the sum total of that system. But when we look at the system, we don't see the collection. I don't look at you and see, oh, there's digestion. Unless you've got a real problem going on right there today, right? I don't see you and think, oh, there's cardiovascular. I don't see that. I see you as you and a name. When you go to Lowe's, you don't see the accounts receivable and the accounts, the stockers and the thing. You see Lowe's, you have an image of Lowe's as a whole. When you go to a restaurant, typically you just have an opinion about the whole. You don't break down the system. Most folks don't. So what we have here is you have some organization like I'm the pastor at Life Spring Church, and so we have this system. Let's go back to Lowe's. We'll stay with Lowe's. You have Lowe's as a whole, and then you have accounts receivable, you have shipping, you have HR, you have all these different things, whatever you may have that's going on, and every one of them are in there. In your high school, you had the teachers, you had the shop guys, you had all these. It's a collection of smaller subgroups. Culture's made up the same way, by the way, as systems, where you have all these things that are interdependent, and you see it as a whole. So you have a department, but you have sub-departments, if you will, in each one of them. Now, each one of them's connected. If one of them has a problem, it affects the other problems. We're gonna go through this and talk about it more as we go. Each one of them's overlapping. Notice it, and we look at the outcomes of the system, but behind every outcome of the system is a system that produced it. So, like, let me explain that. That was kind of confusing the way I said that. Do we like Lowe's or we like Home Depot better? You make this decision based on the outcomes. But the reason you like it or the reason you don't like it was the way they overlap this collection that was going on inside of it. You go to a restaurant and you decide, I like this restaurant or I don't like this restaurant. You're basing that on the outcomes, but the problem is the systems that created that outcome. You like this financial planning, you like this stock, you like this whatever, based on the outcomes that are there. And business is a collection of nothing but, your business, my business, is nothing but a collection of all these systems that work together to make this overall system. So in business, you might have who's running the register. You might have the hiring and the on-ramping systems, the HR kind of stuff. You might have, if you're in the food industry, cooking or some kind of healthcare, cleaning schedules that are a big deal, that are part of it. You have inventory systems that all work together. You have marketing funnels that you have to work out that work all this together. And every one of them are interdependent, meaning that like dependent is where one leans on the other and one's strong and the other one's just leaning on it. Independence where two are separate, but interdependent is like where three rods are coming together and each one of them needs each other. They're dependent like a tripod. They're interdependent, relying on each other. This is not only true internally, but every system is also interdependent with those outside of its own system. So Lowe's has a supplier somewhere. That's why tariffs are such an issue right now going on. We all have, so not only are we internally interdependent, but your system is actually a collection in a bigger system that you're interdependent with the rest of the world. And so you have to play ball, if you will, play nicely with people who are not even necessarily under your authority, under your control, under any of that thing. And it's the system that has to work. Changes in one area impacts everything else. If one department has a bunch of people call out sick, you're leading a ministry of some sort, and everybody in kids ministry got COVID, you got a problem that day, right? If the sales department has an influx and they really do a great job and they're killing it, but yet production doesn't keep up with it, the changes in one system can actually crash the other system. And so what happened is the outcome didn't work very well because the system was not working together as a system. It impacts the whole system directly and indirectly. Healthy organizations don't just manage the people, you have to manage the system, which a lot of times is the people. Managing the system is actually shaping the behavior. So here's what I want you to know. Think about a system like this. This is the way every system you would think about it. It basically has three parts. You have an input, you have a transformation process, and then you have an output. So, one of my loves in life is I love God, I love my family, I love leadership, and I love coffee. Does anybody love coffee? I drink a lot of coffee. My mama, I drink a bunch of coffee a day. She said, "Be careful, son." She said, your grandmother loved coffee, and coffee killed her. Okay, it killed her at 95. I'll take my chances, right? I mean, I'll risk it. She was 95 when she died. All right, I love coffee. Now, this coffee maker is a system. It has input. You have to have, first of all, you have to have electricity. This one does not have right here. You have to have electricity. You have to have water. You have to have these little pods that are here. So you have to sufficiently input into this thing. Then once you've put it in there, it has a transformation process. It will heat up. It's got a drip system going on. I don't know fully how it works. It's got a heating element going on. These things are firing in a certain order to make them happen, and then the outcome is a great cup of coffee. Now, if I violate the process, I violate the outcome. I drink a lot of coffee, but I'm a scatterbrained man a lot of times. It is not uncommon for me to do this. I wish I could tell you I did this one time. I've done it multiple times. I did it the other day. I will plug it up, make sure water's in it, push the button and go, but I forget the pod. I am very disappointed when I come. Now, am I mad at the coffee maker? Yes, but it's not the coffee maker's problem. The problem was I didn't work the system. One time, actually this happened twice. Twice I had put the water in, the electricity in, all the inputs were right. I put the pod in, I hit the go button, and it did its job. It made a wonderful cup of coffee, transformation. The problem was I forgot to put the cup underneath it. So now my cup of coffee is on the counter, on the floor, everywhere. Is the problem the coffee maker? The problem was me not working the system. If the coffee maker stops, I have to troubleshoot what's going on, right? And I know this is basic, but you see where it's going. I see some of you going. I have to troubleshoot. Do I have it plugged in? Do I have enough water? Is there something going on? This is what consultants do. When you hire a consultant for your business, they immediately look at your business in three places. They're going to look at it because they're going to look at the system, and the system is inputs, transformation, output. Depending upon what your problem is, 99.9% of the time, the reason you hired a consultant was because something happened with the output. Let's say you're a manufacturer of utility trailers, and you're having a lot of warranty work coming back on your utility trailers. It's like they're coming back and they're falling apart and the wheels are coming off and nothing. So you've hired somebody to help you determine why is our output not working. Well, what they're going to do is they're going to first of all say, okay, well, how about your raw material? Is the metal you're using, is the tires you're using, or is the material you're using inferior? If it is, then there's your problem. We got to get new suppliers. We got to get better made equipment, all this kind of stuff. All right, if it's not an input issue, then we're going to look at transformation processes. Like, is your welders right? Do you need to start drug testing your employees? Because that's right. I mean, like, what's going on? Why is the transformation not working? If you have a service industry business, potentially, you have a great transformation, you got a great product, you got a great method, you got a great system that you will to customers, that you're selling the system, whatever it is, you got some service industry. And the customers you have a great help. The problem is you don't have enough input. You need more. So now we're talking about marketing. We're talking about how do we get more to come in? Do we need better salesmen? What do we need to feed the system? Are y'all tracking with me? If it is, nod at me if it's making sense. So you have to think about this whole dynamic that you're going. And if you forget something in the system, so let me rewind. If I make a hot cup of water and forget the pod, or if I make a hot cup of coffee that's on my counter, do I come and yell at the coffee maker? Well, I probably do, but should I? It's not the coffee maker's problem. And a lot of times we're yelling at our team and we're yelling at our employees, and the problem is not necessarily the people, it's the system we've created. The system we have is broke. And sometimes the system, that is a great coffee maker for me. But if roughly 1,000 people come to church on Sunday morning at Life Spring Church, if I'm going to want that coffee maker to provide for 1,000 people, it no longer is sufficient. Sometimes the system we had was very efficient before, but now where you're at and now where your company is at, the way it's going, it doesn't work anymore. The way the world has changed. You no longer can recruit the way you used to recruit. You can't sell the way you used to sell. You can't do it the way you used to do it because some other system changed. The way, again, let's just say you're in a manufacturing kind of thing, and you've got some transformation, and the salesman changed their way, and they're bringing it in. Well, now that can actually break your transformation process because now you can't keep up with the sales that they've got coming in. Is that, y'all tracking? So you have to constantly keep your eye on this. This is not something you can put on cruise control. As the world changes, as prices go up in your market, as people's lives begin to get more complicated in it, what happens in one area will impact every other area. So what we want to have happen is something called synergy. You know that from science. It's when all the coffee thing works great. Plenty of water, plenty of power, plenty of pods, and a great cup of coffee, and the heating element works, and the drip system works, and things. It's now synergy, and then we're getting outputs. When you leave Lowe's, when you leave whatever company you're leaving, the reason you're happy with the output is because the system worked like it's supposed to. And let me tell you what I've learned about people. They will choose a system that works even if the output's not great. I'll prove that to you. Let me prove that to you. Have you ever said to your spouse, honey, I want a great burger. Like I want a really good hamburger, like a really good hamburger. Let's go to McDonald's. Okay, said no one never, right? No one goes to McDonald's because they want a great hamburger, but yet they've sold more hamburgers than anybody in the world. Because when you see that golden arches, right, you have an expectation of this is what it's going to taste like, this is how long it's going to take to get it, and granted, it's not the best burger in the world, and granted, it's going to kill me by the time probably in a month or two, if I eat a bunch of them, and granted, it's going to blow my diet, but it's very consistent, and I know what to do. Nobody goes to Walmart because they want quality products. Said no one ever. We go to Walmart because they've got a system that works. And people, it's very dependable. See, what systems do is they make the outcome predictable. And that's where the leader has to come in. Now, if a system is going to work, though, it has to have movement. Again, same thing with your cardiovascular system, your digestive system. Systems are not static. Stagnation is bad, and you cannot have a system that's static. The system has to constantly have movement. McDonald's depends on selling a bunch of burgers. That's the only way their business model works. Walmart has to have X number of people. That's why when they did those neighborhoods, it didn't work as well, because their system was not built like Dollar General's system. Dollar General has a system. They don't have to have the volume that is there. They can put a store every half mile from each other. That's their system, and it's a dependable kind of thing. Your system, though, has to have movement in order for it to work. So why are leaders essential? Because systems are leadership issues. You can't leave a system unattended, because systems do not drift to excellence. They drift to disorder. They drift to deterioration. They break down. Systems require energy. They require resources. Systems require accountability. Great leaders don't just run the system. They consistently evaluate the system. What's coming next? What's coming in that's good? How's my market changing? Can my transformation processes keep up with my inputs? What is our output? They do quality control. If you're in that, you hate those guys, right? They do quality control. They do exit interviews. That's what leaders do. What's changing? What should be changing that's not changing? Where are we getting ready to see a bottleneck happen right here? What is it that we got coming on? And in fact, if you study, when I was in grad school, when we started studying the history of management, it all started with gauging those systems and trying to determine, and watch this may be 2 words you need to write down and think about when it comes to your business. How effective is your system? That's one thing. Effective is a word. The second word you should write down is how efficient is your system. Effectiveness and efficiency go hand in hand. Sometimes it's very effective, but it's not efficient. Sometimes it's very efficient, but it's not very effective. And so that's where you have to, as a leader, constantly be talking about it. And let me just say to you, if you don't start working on all right, You've got to, especially when you're starting out. When you're starting out, you have to work in your business. But at some point, you have to break away from working in your business and start working on your business. And if you don't start working on your business, it's doomed to fail. I'll translate that. If you don't, you're really good at cooking. You're a restaurant. You're really good at it. But at some point, you've got to step outside of cooking and look at the whole process of this business, all the parts, the accounting, everything. And if you don't, it's doomed to fail. You've got to take a bigger, if it's capping it. You're capping it if the only thing you're doing is working in it and not on it. You've got to say, why is this not working? Why did this used to work, but it won't work now? We used to recruit employees this way. We used to could train them this way. We used to could get sales leads this way. We used to could do in our church, put it in our world, we used to could do communion or baptisms or whatever it is we're trying to do this way, but now we can't. Why is that the case? What happened? What needs to change? And that is a constant thing. It's like driving a car. You can't take your hands off the wheel on that. And to see the change, you have to address it at the systems level. Because here's the truth. Your system that you have right now in your business, whatever it is perfectly structured to get the results you're getting now. Like if you're happy, great. Like if it's all great, great. But if you're not, you're going to have to change it. And I've learned some systems are anti-progress. You got this value system or this culture that will not, like you're not going to invest in new technology. You're not going to invest in people. You need to hire staff, but you're scared to manage staff because you know staff can be aggravating and da-da-da-da-da-da. You don't want to spend the money on the equipment. That's an anti-progress system. Some systems are anti-leadership. They don't want you to lead. They don't want you to give an opinion. They don't want to train. They just want you to shut up and do what I tell you to do. That's it. That's an anti-leadership system. You're perfectly structured to get what you're getting. So do you like your outcome? Do you like your output? If not, then you got to stay on it. It's not always a vision issue. In my opinion, sometimes it's a vision issue. But as working with literally hundreds of business owners and churches and nonprofits, I believe a lot of times it's just a system issue. The vision's not bad. It's just your system is bad. And systems, let me explain it to you this way. Your vision would be we're going to go to Disneyland. Your system is the vehicle you choose to get you there. You may choose plane, train, or automobile, right? But the vision's still good. Disney World's still a great vision. The thing is, the destination don't need to change in your business. The system, the method you've got to deliver you to that vision is what needs to change. Some systems are conducive to growth. Some systems hinder growth. It's like your business can't sell more than this amount because the way you've got it, if you sell more than this amount, it's going to break down. You're not set up to handle that. Some systems make it easy to get the job done. Other systems, it's like treading in quicksand. You just can't, it's like bureaucracy. The larger, and I struggle with this one. The larger an organization gets, the more bureaucratic it has to get as it grows. It just has to. But if you're small, you want to minimize the bureaucracy as much as you can because it is like treading in quicksand. Some systems free leaders to lead. Other systems obstruct leaders. The way you're doing it, you say, well, if I could just get somebody that could really lead, I would do such and such. Well, let me just tell you, until you fix your system, they're not coming. No leader wants to work in that system. It's gonna stifle the growth. It's not gonna. Your system wouldn't attract them if you had them. Systems. This is why leaders are needed. Systems they create behaviors. The cardio system creates a behavior. Pulmonary system creates a behavior. Digestion, well, it creates a behavior, right? System creates behaviors. Talk does not create behaviors. Systems create behaviors. And this, in a church setting, a religious setting, this is so frustrating, and I'll tell you why. The Bible, religious systems are designed to create behaviors. That's what we do. Like certain lifestyle changes, certain like disciplines, spiritual disciplines. the whole Bible is about creating behaviors. But here's the interesting thing for those that may not have read the Bible. The New Testament doesn't give you the system to create those behaviors. All it does is tell you the behaviors that you're supposed to, as a leader, as a pastor, as a church leader, to help people create. But there's no book of the comprehensive, like there's not a playbook here of systems that you're using in order to create these behaviors. So what you have to do in a volunteer organization is it sometimes feels like you're throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks, right? You're trying to figure out, what can I do that will create the behaviors that the Bible says that we need to have in fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ. And so you're constantly having to take your hand, and that's why leaders are so crucial. What can I do to design systems? I'll give you an example. In our church at Life Springs Church, we know, everybody knows this, not just at our church, everybody knows this, that Christians are to serve. That's what we're to do. That's a non-serving Christian is a contradiction of terms. Like you're supposed to serve as a Christian. How do you get self-centered people to serve? How do you get busy people to serve? How do you get people to get outside and serve? So we had to create systems. One of the things, we've done a lot of things through the years, but one of the things we did is we created a whole month of November called Serve Month. And it's very predictable. Everybody knows when November rolls around, this is what's going to happen. We're going to create opportunities. The sermon's going to be around there. What's going to happen? And so now we have this system that we know. And it has made guess what's going to happen at the end of November? We're going to have served hundreds and thousands of people. The people who did that are going to be blessed. The system we created predictable behaviors. Are y'all understanding? Nod at me if you're understanding this. Very predictive behaviors. You can tell people to be more efficient, but until you create a system of efficiency, it's not going to happen. You can tell people to be collaborative and to talk to their co-workers, but until you create a system, it won't happen. You can tell your people to be innovative, but until you create a creative process, they're not going to be innovative. The system will create the behavior, and it will also behavior shape the culture, by the way. But we're not going into culture today. You can tell you got to shape the system. All right. Some systems free leaders to lead. Some systems empower employees. Some systems encourage innovation and responsibility, and some systems don't. Other systems create confusion. You ever worked in a system where it's just confusing? Bottlenecks. This is where everything, all the synergy we had is going to bottleneck right here, and it's going to stop and die. It's going to have, sometimes systems create wrong behaviors. Anyway, I could keep on going on that. Let me go to the next one. What behaviors are your systems creating? That's really what I want to ask you. With whatever you're leading, if you don't like the system, the behaviors you got, what systems are what behaviors are your systems creating? Because systems, whether it be one you inherited, maybe you didn't create this system, but somebody else, maybe you did create this system. Maybe you've adopted this system. You went somewhere like to some other business plan and they got a system and you just said, oh, that's a good system, and you bought that system and you tried to incorporate it for you, but it's not working for you. What system? And see, we tend to blame people. We yell at coffee makers. But the problem might not be the people. It might not be that you need to fire everybody. It might be that you need a new system. I'm the bookkeeper in our household. And several years ago, this is an old thing now, but I had the most trouble in our household getting receipts. They'd spend money out of hand, know where it went, what it went for, who it was for, whatever. And we would have real conflict in our household over that. So one day it dawned on me, this is so simple. And I teach systems. I know systems or whatever else. I got a bank bag and put it in a drawer and just told everybody in the family to put their receipts in that bank bag. And I would this is when I do book work. Have a lot less stress now. Just a simple bag. It really is that simple. Same thing here at our church. Same thing, receipts that would happen. Here's another example. We couldn't get people to invite people to church. Like that was a behavior we wanted to create, but nobody was doing that. And so then one day, I believe maybe God kind of led us to it, but we got this thing said equip people to invite people. So then we started thinking, how could we equip people, a system for equipping. We started commissioning bags and all sorts of things. How can we equip people to invite people? So start with what behavior am I wanting? How can I shape a system to create that behavior? Yeah, is that making sense? Is everybody understanding what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, and let me be clear, we still, like right now, we've got all sorts of problems with systems because we're larger than we've ever been, and that may be why I'm teaching on this today. A lot of our systems, we've never had this many employees, we've never had this many outreach events, we've never had this much money, we've never had these many people coming, we've never had this many cars on the parking lot, we've never had this many kids, we've never had this many preschoolers, we've never had all this stuff. And every system we have needs to be evaluated. It needs to be looked at, okay? So every time in the church world, they'll say at every level there's a new devil, right? I think that's true in the business world as well. At every level of revenue, every level of employee, every level of sales, every level there's a new devil. And you have to change your system because what used to work won't work today. Okay, there's 5 levers that you can pull as a leader when you're evaluating this, when you're implementing this new season. Now, there's probably more, but I'm giving you 5 today. 5 levers that you pull whenever you decide this is the system, this is the behavior I'm needed, and I want to create it. Here's 5 levers for you to pull. Number 1, first lever, clear expectations. This is what we want to see happen. This is what we need to see happen. This is the behavior we're going for. Systems need clarity. What's the win? You may want to write that down. What's the win? Who's going to own it? What success looks like when it's done? You may need to have a playbook. Like, this is the playbook we're going to use. No one performs very good when you have fuzzy rules and fuzzy guidelines. It needs to be very clear, because here's what I have learned. What is vague is vulnerable. What is vague is vulnerable. Number 2, second lever, rewards. What you reward gets repeated. If you reward the wrong thing, it's going to get repeated. If you reward the right thing, it'll get done. And so there's lots of ways to do that in business. You can do it with financial incentives, bonuses, commissions, trips, cruises, whatever, competitions. You can do that with, you can reward it in your culture, like at staff meetings, and create, employee of the month, parking, I don't know, whatever. There's lots of ways to reward. People lean into whatever's reinforced. But I'm talking to business leaders today, and that's who my audience is. I think business leaders immediately think rewards financial. But let me just tell you, and this is not just me talking. I can give you research on this. Don't overlook intrinsic rewards. When people feel better about themselves for doing something, that is more powerful. I read early on in the ministry, I read this book, and it was talking to pastors, and it said, please understand, people don't do things because it makes sense. If they did, here's what he said in this book years ago. He said, if people did things that won't make sense, alcoholics wouldn't take their last bit of money and buy alcohol instead of food for their children. Nightclubs would not stay open past 10 o'clock because that makes no sense. I mean, there's no reason for you to be out drinking past 10 o'clock, right? And women wouldn't wear high heels because there's no sense in that. It's going to hurt. It's just not there. But why do nightclubs stay open past 10 o'clock, and why do alcoholics take and buy bread, alcohol instead of bread? Why do women wear high heels? Because they want to. It's really that simple. They don't do it because it makes sense. They do it because they want to. There's something in them, endorphins get released or whatever from this. I think business owners would do good to attach what they're doing to a bigger picture other than just financial gain. Most people will volunteer and do all sorts of things when you can attach it to some sort of intrinsic reward. I want to say one more thing before I go to the next one. You got to be very careful too, and I do this if you're not careful, you will reward wrong behavior. Don't promote somebody who's toxic, because I'm telling you it will backfire on you. Be careful what you unintentionally reward the wrong thing. Let me give you a third lever, is consequences. And when we hear consequences, we think immediately negative. It certainly includes negative, but it's also positive. Like you tell your team, if we get this new system going, here's the good thing that's going to happen. Because here's the truth. You have to inspect what you're going to expect. You have to inspect what you expect. If there's no accountability, the system's going to break down. And inconsistency kills. If you threaten, you have to follow through. If you say, if you do this again, you're going to get wrote up, you have to write up. If not, you lose credibility. If this happens again, if we hit this sale, we're going to have an ice cream party. You've got to, empty threats, empty promises make you lose credibility with your team. So the consequences whether it's good or bad, it has to be implemented. Don't say it unless you mean it. But when you say it, you've got to follow through on it. Okay, number fourth lever, communication. Everything happens in or because of a conversation all the time. What you say, the way you say it, where you say it, when you say it, the circumstances you say it, it shapes this performance culture that you're maybe wanting to have or whatever. And you have to consistently evaluate, consistently debrief. I am a huge proponent of debriefing communication. Everything, you need to sit down with your team every so often. What's working? What's not working? They see things you don't see. You will find what systems are not working if you do that. But if you're sitting here saying, well, I think it's, you're saying, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let me just tell you, it's broke long before you know it. It's broke long before you know it. They'll tell you, but you've got to listen. You've got to create communication forums and places to do this. And then number 4, you got to role model it. There's too much bird dogging and not enough leading. Bird dogging is pointing, where you point. Y'all do this, but I'm going to do this. People don't just do what you say, they do what you do. So are you personally living the expectation? If you want people to, put their receipts, then you do that. If you want people to show up on time, then you do that. If you want people to conserve and not waste, you need to do that. If you want people to serve, then you need to serve. If you want people to invite, then you invite. If you want people to respect time off and have a work-life balance, then you need to have a work-life balance, right? A lot of times people can't hear what you're saying because what you're doing is screaming at them so loud. You gotta show them. Systems are better than slogans. Your system is more influence over you than any mission statement you got on the wall. And I'm going to say vision without systems is just called a wish list. That's all it is. Vision without system is a wish. That's all it is. It's nothing. Dreamers are just dreamers until they make their dreams come true. Then they're called leaders. And system is what makes their dreams come true. Your culture is not defined, of your organization, is not defined by what you posted on your website. It's defined by what's actually done in this business. And your system is what's producing the behaviors that are needed to be done. And if you keep on casting vision and don't adjust your system, you're headed for, nothing's going to change. You're just headed for problems. Here we go. So here's where we want to evaluate. This is our closing time. What's one system in your business, your area of leadership, that's unintentionally producing the wrong behavior? Like you're frustrated. You're a parent, and Tuesday's trash day, and the kids are not getting the trash to the grove. All right, it's just creating frustration. You got a systems problem. You got to change it. What's one adjustment you can make this week to get that system change? If you only work in your business and never own your business, it's going to plateau. If you're going to lead forward, you're going to have to lead with systems at a systems level. All right, you guys understand? Thanks a lot.